Hi, my name is Allie Ray. I use they, them pronouns, and I am now 240 days sober. Awesome. I can't remember if yesterday I was whining about how much pain I was in, or if I was excited and happy about getting all that pain taken care of. I'm still at the point where my face really hurts. I'm going to see a jaw specialist tomorrow because, long story short, someone did something very terrible to my jaw 6 years ago, and I was too much of an alcoholic to try to do anything to fix it until now. And often I was too drunk to really worry that much about whether or not I was in physical pain, or I don't know. I really didn't care about the state of my body, thus my liver almost failing. Thank God I'm getting that taken care of. I had a really cool rehearsal for an improv group I just joined. I had a fairly productive day. There was some mood stuff that wasn't super great. I guess the main thing that I wanted to talk about today was that at the improv rehearsal I was at, one of the cast members brought up that he had performed drunk, and apparently that set went really well, and I believe it. Some improv groups are totally okay with you performing intoxicated. In Chicago, there are even some improv forms that encourage you to drink on stage, or they do some sort of drinking game along with their short form performances. That used to be like one of my biggest dreams, was to be so good at improv that I was able to do a cool short form set while getting wasted. There were these improvisers that I really admired, that I met one year, who they drank an entire beer every time the audience called out like this tell. Like on stage, they had like this trigger phrase, and if the audience caught them using it, they would call them out, and the improvisers would have to drink an entire beer, like a 20-ounce beer, I think, to themselves, and they would get absolutely wasted while doing the set and still remain funny and still remained classy. I know a lot of people who wouldn't be able to handle that, even after three. And one of the improvisers was a very small person, so sorry, you knocked the camera. Anyway, my fellow improvisers, the people on stage with me, they never knew how drunk I was. Never knew that I was drunk on stage. I'm part of the Twin Cities improv culture that doesn't encourage you to drink on stage. You to drink before going onto a set. They especially don't want you drunk on stage, and if they find out that you are at all drunk, they will not only kick you out of performing that night, but you might be asked to not perform again, depending on how obvious you were and if there were any problems with safety that came up. I'm sorry, my mouth is really dry. So no one ever knew that I was very drunk. Everyone always thought that I was just shy, or that I didn't really like to talk to people when I came off. That I didn't really like to talk to people when I came off the stage. The truth is that like I would be so drunk that I wouldn't know what kind of set I had just given, and in my head it was just safe to assume that I should go home and hate myself and consider quitting improv every single time. That's the fun thing about being sober, is that, yeah, I'm a lot more aware of making mistakes on stage, and fewer things just kind of slip out, in that, yeah, I'm drunk, I have no boundaries sort of way. But at least when I walk off the stage, I know what I've done. I remember the characters that I've played, and if there was something that didn't go the way I wanted it to, I am aware of the mistake I've made and can write it down and hope to not make the same mistake again. But yeah, tonight I was learning this new form, and it's very cool. It's a very structured form. That's totally my thing. I was geeking out about it, and the two of the cast members were talking about times that a cast member has shown up drunk or at least tipsy, and they're like, yeah, no, sometimes that helps the form. And I got very jealous. I was very surprised that I got jealous. In that moment, I was like, oh, well, if I had been cast in this while I was drinking, that would have been perfect. Maybe I wouldn't have had a problem. Or I even kind of had this feeling of like, oh God, I wish that I'd gotten the chance to do that. I wish I had been cast when I was an alcoholic, and I would have had so much more fun with this form. Even though I never doubted how much fun I was going to have with it sober until that moment. And so I tried to focus on the set the time that I was there. I tried to just work on taking notes and that sort of thing, just being very present. I really wanted to drink. Suddenly my brain decided that it was super uncomfortable just having a conversation with the people who had cast me. And they were talking about doing movie nights where we would watch films that would help us be inspired in our form. We're all supposed to play kind of asshole characters who do terrible things and get punished for it. And they were mentioning movies that we were going to see, and I said something about like, no, I've seen those, but I was really, really drunk when I saw them, so basically, no, I haven't seen them. And they'd mentioned, oh, well, these are really bonding nights. And I, again, had this pang of like, those would have been so fun to drink during. Like watching a very intensive structure-based movie in order to study the form. Like when I was in college, I had really good grades and I was wasted all the time because somehow in my head, alcohol gave me the permission that I needed to be able to take really thorough notes and to get really carried away with an idea and like dive into creativity. Granted, in the last few years of my drinking, it wasn't really productive or creative or inspired at all. But yeah, tonight was very much a trigger. I really was dreading going home because I was just thinking, God, I wish I had the life where I could spend 2 or 3 hours studying improv intensely, and even like reward myself for having such a productive day where I was doing so many things with my schedule that were super nitpicky and color-coded. Right now, being as organized as I need to and want to be for my learning disability, it makes me really uncomfortable because I used to rely on alcohol to give me that permission to be as neurotic as I wanted to be about this is the day, this is the time, this is the color that it corresponds to. I know it might sound really confusing, or even it might sound a little surprising to people who are like, I don't know, you wouldn't imagine an alcoholic being that much of a Hermione Granger when it comes to like planning their week or just logging information in their system. But I don't know, I was a drunk Hermione. I know that's not really a common trope, but that is something that really makes me want to drink sometimes, is when I'm looking at 3 or 4 different schedules for 3 or 4 different projects, and I'm looking at doctor appointments I need to schedule, and I'm creating my whiteboard calendar and writing stuff down in my phone and looking for more opportunities and doing to-do lists. I used to thrive on being that weirdo who could be super, super productive and get really good grades and work 20 hours a week and have a clean apartment while being frickin' wasted. In fact, I thought I couldn't do any of that stuff, or at least not all of it as well as I did, if I hadn't been drinking. It's making me really uncomfortable to talk about right now, which is kind of why I'm stuttering. I'm getting really excited while I think about it, of getting wasted while getting really involved in a cooking recipe or making flashcards. I really need to look into this. Is it just that I enjoyed it and that's why I thought alcohol was necessary, or did I not think that I deserved to have fun with my studies unless I was totally wasted? Anyway, I don't want to drink now, I say tentatively. I'm just glad that I got through the day and I wasn't as uncomfortable as I thought it was going to be. Tomorrow, again, I have a doctor appointment dealing with something kind of traumatic. And I always used to drink when I got home from doctor appointments because I hated them so much. I feel really embarrassed. I'm stuttering and I'm losing my words. I think that's it for tonight, though. Again, my mood was mostly pretty good today. I've just been kind of tense and still a little strange. So, I mean, I'm always strange, but anyway. I'm gonna peace out for tonight. Thanks for keeping up with this awkward post. All right, good luck.